Satanism. To most, it conjures images of medieval black masses or sinister deeds done for the devil. Must expose all the evil being done in the name of Satan.
Woohoo! Here we go. Can you hear me? Am I audible? I hope I'm audible. Is it coming out of the right mic? Check, check. Welcome to the very first official episode of, oh, gotta point this way, of 14 News. Yeah, that right there. Cause yeah, why not? I'm not doing anything else on Thursday night. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Glad you could join us. We got a few great stories for you tonight, and hopefully you leave here with you're probably gonna leave here with more questions than answers, but we're gonna cover the stories anyway. Because we got like a good lineup for you. We got okay, so first we have Obama talking about aliens. Ooh, yeah. And then we have the YouTuber Bob Gimlin. After several long years, finally today clapped back at Trey the Explainer. Not really though, but I'll show you. I'll give you some highlights when we get there. We also have Michael Knowles is concerned about DMT demons. Are you concerned about that there may be demons in your DMT? Okay, well, oh, love you too, Kristen. Thank you so much for showing up. You know, this is like a new show, new time slot, everything. I'm always trying something new, trying to find something that I enjoy doing. I guess before I get into... Oh, yeah, we're going through our stuff. Okay, so we have Michael Knowles and the DMT Demons. And our top story, new footage has been released. New footage has been released that kind of proves the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the famous Patterson-Gimlin footage, to be a hoax. So, sorry, true believers, but that just happens to be what we're gonna be doing for our top story tonight. So stick around for that. All right. So, before I get into the news, though, let me see here. I wanted to remind you all for Live from the Hive, which is our Saturday show. It's every Saturday morning where we just a fun little variety show. We do a segment called Weekend Weird and a segment called Cryptic Corner. and we talk about weirdness and cryptic stuff. So it's exactly what it says. We got these polls out here that we run every week for the show. This week, we'll have 11 votes on this so far, so you can make a big impact on this poll if you wanted to vote on it. You have this dress. I love this dress. Right now, spirit dancers are in a large lead for our Weekend Weird. Let's roll up and see what Cryptic Corner looks like. Right now, Cryptic Corner, we have the Rougarou coming in first place, followed by the Detroit Hag, vampires, a vampire in New England, and crop circles pulling up the rear there. So, I love it too. It's so classy. I feel like a bombshell wearing it. All right, so for our first story, which is gonna be about presidents and ex-presidents and aliens. Who doesn't love a story about aliens, right? Why is my hair all frizzy back there? I should have hit you with a comb. Yeah, so before we get into this discussion, let's start here about most experts believe aliens exist. Here's what's convinced them. This is from December. The research is mounting up that we might not be alone in this big wide world. This is by Alex Hugh, Science Focus, BBC. Whether it's giant warmongering spaceships, green humanoid Martians, or creepy beings slithering across uncharted planets, science fiction has painted a very particular image when it comes to aliens. But while you might think it takes a tinfoil wearing conspiracy theorist to believe in such life outside of Earth, many highly distinguished scientists are believers too. Oh, thank you so much for returning to the Hive, Kristen. Glad to see you back as one of my cryptic creepers. Appreciate you being here. In fact, when surveyed, 86.6% of astrobiologists recently said they either agree or strongly agree that extraterrestrial life likely exists somewhere else in the universe. All right, and we'll come back to this in a minute. Well, actually, we finished this segment. We asked the same question, but for complex intelligent life, the agreeing percentage only dropped to 58.2%. More believe than don't. So what do these scientists know that we don't know? And why are they so sure we're not alone in the universe? Why aliens just might exist. Okay. And we'll get into that in a second. So what happened was, I don't know if you all were aware of this or not, but we're going to come back to that. But Barack Obama was on an interview. Aliens and extraterrestrial life was the question posed to him. And here's how President Barack Obama responded to this. Let me know if you can hear everything all right, if I need to turn anything up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn that up now.
It follows this stunning admission recently from former President Obama when he was asked about the existence of aliens.
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Obama later walked back on those comments, saying the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there, but saying, I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us. Really? Still, President Trump accuses Obama of crossing...
Yeah, so that's what Obama said. Hopefully you all could... Yeah, I'm poor too, sweetie. I get it. Thank you so much for coming back. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad you keep returning. Community's happier with you in it. We recently found a YouTube channel of Nautilus that have hours of quality deep sea creatures. Yeah, EV Nautilus. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think I'm subscribed to that channel too. But yeah, we had Trump had to chime in on this. So here's Trump being asked about this situation on I guess it's on a plane.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So
he made it.
Trump's like, well, you're trying to be confirming this shit, right? But Obama was really just talking about was literally just talking about this. There is nothing special or remotely unique about Earth or humanity. That's not our opinion. That's the overarching idea of the Copernican principle. This is the belief that while we often see Earth as superior, it is no more special than any other planet. But what does it have to do with the aliens? Well, many who study extraterrestrial life believe the Earth's habitable state, combined with the development of diverse, intelligent life, is a sign that the same is possible elsewhere. And given the sheer scale of the cosmos, some scientists argue the question isn't if alien life exists, but where. And I'm on that page too. I'm on that same page. For instance, our galaxy contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. That's with a B. Astronomers have already confirmed around 4,000 planets orbiting other stars, and that's in our galaxy alone. The Milky Way itself is just a tiny fraction of the observable universe, about 1/1,000,000th of it. Scale that up and you're looking at roughly 100 sextillion stars, each potentially hosting a planet. I gotta zoom in on that. That's a big ass number. 100 sextillion. Right. Anyway. That's an incomprehensibly large number. For instance, it's not that there's likely more planets in the universe than grains of sand on Earth, but 13.33 billion times more. Yeah, that's a lot more. The odds like that, with odds like that, it feels almost inevitable that at least one of them has given a rise to intelligent alien life. We now know that most stars have planetary systems. That means there are loads of places where life can arise. Besides, simple life arose so quickly on Earth. To me, that's the key sign that it must be happening elsewhere, says Mike Garrett, chair of astrophysics at the University of Manchester. We got a beautiful picture of the Milky Way here. And it's not just the sheer number of planets that make alien life seem plausible. It's what they're made of. The basic ingredients for life are more common than you might think. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, the elements that make up living things on Earth, have been detected in comets, asteroids, and distant worlds. Astronomers have also identified many planets where water, another key ingredient, is present. Take KOI 5715.01, the exoplanet around 3,000 light years from us. The name might not sound catchy, but the world is one of the most Earth-like we've found so far. This is similar size to our planet, sits in a habitable temperature range, and shows signs of water, making it a prime candidate in which to hunt for alien life. How can we turn to Earth as a sign that life can thrive in places once thought impossible? From acidic hot springs to deep sea vents and frozen Antarctic, a host of recently discovered extremophiles show that living organisms can adapt to far harsher conditions than a mild Earth-like planet, right? His wife, is Trump an alien? His wife definitely is. I wouldn't be surprised. He's gonna like grab her by her hair, and her whole leather head's gonna come off, and you're gonna see the gray alien underneath, right? Scary stuff. Giant tube worms. Yeah. I bet you didn't know when I come into this talking about Barack Obama that we were going to get to giant tube worms. Giant tube worms, for example, thrive in the pitch black depths of the ocean, clustered around hydrothermal vents that spew out scalding, mineral-rich water at temperatures of up to 350 degrees Celsius. Despite the intense heat, crushing pressure, and complete absence of sunlight, these worms form a vast colony, relying on symbiotic bacteria to turn the vent's chemicals into energy. Even more extreme, Deinococcus radiodurans, a microbe whose name roughly translates to terrible radiation surviving berry, a bacterium that can endure radiation levels thousands of times higher than what would kill a human, shrugging off conditions that would sterilize most known life. It's been found surviving not only in radioactive waste sites, but also in the vacuum of space during experiments on the International Space Station. When the Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago, at the first, its surface was hellishly hot. Flowing oceans, magma covered the Earth's surface, creating inhospitable environments for life. And yet, life arose as soon as the terrain cooled, says Douglas Vakoch. I think maybe is how it's pronounced. Author and founder of METI, the Messaging to Extraterrestrial Intelligence, an organization researching communication with alien life. Once life arose on Earth, it spread everywhere. The same evolutionary principles that allow life to adapt on Earth should operate throughout the universe, creating exotic alien life forms unlike anything we can imagine. I had a college professor that said in the event of nuclear war, the remaining humans would have to harvest those tube worms to eat. Ugh. Def Leppard sucks, Joe Dirt. LOL. Just kidding. Yeah. Oh, let's all be peace and love. Let's see. If an alien life is out there, part of the challenge of finding it, for example, if you dedicate each member of the human race to searching for aliens, every person would have to explore 13,000 planets. While that has remained challenging for years, scientists believe that it is becoming easier to find the signs that would show an alien world is inhabited. We're in a much better position to discover it now than we were 5 years ago. Everything is going in the right direction for detection. The right direction for detection. I love that. Don't forget to eat your tube worms, kids. Where was I? Especially for the detection of technosignatures, a measurable signature that shows evidence of past or present technology on a planet, says Garrett. Which is kind of like, is that like the LiDAR we use on the Amazon to find the hidden cities underneath it? It is a movie quote. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm dumb. Hello, Brian Stevens. While that has remained challenging for years, scientists believe that it's becoming easier to find signs that would show an alien world was inhabited. Advancements in computing, digitization, and artificial intelligence means that we are moving very rapidly towards alien detection because the technology improves so fast. That's the kind of shit that we should be using AI for. Like, yeah, send the AI out into space to find aliens. That seems like a good use of it, you know? But Vaco agrees in the next 20 years, we'll have telescopes that can scan the atmosphere of planets that orbit stars as we search for signs of life, he says. When the European Space Agency Ariel mission, a plan to observe and study 1,000 exoplanets, launches in 2029, will have a much greater capability of discovering life through the chemical byproducts that life inevitably gives off. All right. And hello, Brian Stevens. Good to see you, my friend. Why we might actually be alone. So if aliens likely exist out there, why haven't we discovered them yet? And why have we never received an extraterrestrial visitor? Welcome to the Fermi paradox. Exactly. Over lunch way back in 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi threw out an intriguing question to his colleagues about extraterrestrials. Where are they? If intelligent life is common in the galaxy, Fermi argued, then Earth should already have been visited many times over. It was a question that cut straight to the heart of the matter, and one scientist are still wrestling with to this day. Entire libraries of theories have been written to explain it, but think the real answer could be surprisingly a universe big enough to host life is also big enough to hide it. I think that's kind of the bottom line there, isn't it? Life on Earth, especially the rise of macroscopic complex life, requires a series of extremely unlikely coincidences regarding the composition and nature of Earth and its surface, says Jason Wright, a professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Pennsylvania State University. After all of that, Earth that requires a series of extremely unlikely evolutionary innovations to occur. Those odds are pretty small, but then you throw in the fact that there's the nearest aliens could be very far away. In other words, if life did exist elsewhere, we might just never be able to find it. Humans have inhabited Earth for a couple 100,000 years, which in the grand scheme of the universe is short. We've only been around for 0.00002% of the entire history. Other intelligent civilizations could have come and gone or are in the early stages of development. For us to discover life outside Earth, many events need to occur at the same time. Science is inherently skeptical. We want proof, and so far there's no direct proof of life beyond Earth, says Van Koch. But a few decades ago, the same was true for planets orbiting other stars. We thought they might just exist, but we couldn't see them. This changed in the 1990s when the first exoplanets were confirmed. Today, astronomers have discovered thousands, proving that other worlds are not only possible but abundant. To find them, astronomers first had to believe they were out there. Van Koch adds, then they did the hard work of uncovering them. For many researchers, alien life feels like it's at the same stage exoplanets once were, strongly suspected, but still unseen. The tools to detect it are improving, but the breakthrough can take decades or longer. But who knows? Maybe somewhere billions of light years away on an incredibly distant planet, an intelligent life form is sitting, contemplating the thought, are we alone in the universe? All right. So that was, so again, we had Obama, basically repeating or kind of paraphrasing what we just read there, right? And this is not even U.S. information. This is experts. This is the BBC. So these are British people, right? So Obama's just repeating the science, and then Trump goes on to say, let's have him say it again.
Human visitors to Earth.
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell.
He gave classified information.
He gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of.
Did he though? Because the BBC just published an article about this a few months ago. How's that classified? If the BBC is publishing about it, President Trump. It seems to me, if you use the stricter definition, no, civils exist on Earth. Yeah, well, that we know of. Governments keep many secrets. Who even says we haven't detected other civilizations? I won't fully believe they would not tell us anyway. Yeah, I mean, some conspiracies do turn out to be real, but... Oh, the dark forest is an interesting idea. Yeah, I like the dark forest concept. I think that's probably... Well, that's what I don't know. That's what I want to believe. There's a planet with nothing but Bigfoots. Hell yeah, that sounds like a fun planet. All right, so that's our president, and former President Barack Obama as well, and their input into the existence of extraterrestrial life. All right, moving on with our stories for tonight. Up next, do you guys recognize this gentleman? This is YouTuber Bob Gimlin. YouTuber Bob Gimlin makes Bigfoot videos. And sometimes he espouses some pretty conspiratorial ideas about indigenous people and their beliefs. Right? And years ago, Trey the Explainer did a response to one of Bob Gimlin's videos, and yeah, after all this time, Bob has finally issued a response, and I love it.
I'm Bob Gimlin, and if you're a regular around these parts, you may have noticed that a number of years ago I took a departure from my usual little Bigfoot evidence and circumstance type videos. And I guess I kinda started playing it safer with narrative, which I admit is my comfort zone. Obviously, I was aware that this happened, and I knew why, but I couldn't really put it into
I don't know if
words.
any of you have watched any of Bob Gimlin stuff. He does great editing. The storytelling is fun. The art is good. So I'm not throwing any shade at him about that. Obviously, he's a true believer. So, but he does a lot of mental gymnastics, which is, what you have to do to be a true believer at this point in time. But the videos are well put together.
And then totally randomly, I stumbled upon a video by Trey the Explainer, where he absolutely demolishes one of my older videos. And granted, he did so very kindly. He thoroughly destroyed it.
So this I love that Bob has a good sense of humor about this. Why is my chat box so weird? Hold on. I didn't fix it. I fixed my other one. Because it doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be able to see that people are interacting. I think I'm going to do it right here. And I'm going to move the cryptic t-shirt thing over. And that'll look much better. Y'all can watch me decorate the new show. Isn't that fun? And we'll unlock that. And drag it over here. There we go. There we go. That looks alright. Well, actually, I want to bump that up just a little bit. Come on. Can't be overlapping with the actual video that we're watching. Not cool. There we go. That's better.
He was very thorough, but he was also kind and understanding, because it was a very old video. Most on this platform aren't so charitable.
Right, and there's Shark Bites, which I actually watched Shark Bites, but Shark Bites did go at Bob Gimlin. He did about the Megalodon video, but it's a Megalodon video. I don't know. I like Shark Bites. I like Trey the Explainer. Trey the Explainer's back, by the way. After a long, long time, he finally did that. He did a video. They did a video. I think Trey's still going by he, him, but his presentation is very femme. He's a very, very femme person. Likes to do makeup and paint nails and stuff. I love Trey the Explainer. They just recently did the road trip from what's the JoJo's Adventures or whatever, across the U.S. and stopped at all the sites and stuff. It was really cool. So if you didn't see that, it was a few days ago. It hasn't been that long ago, but it's great to see them because I hadn't seen them in forever.
With their grievances. But I was glad to see the video. One, just because it's an amazing video, but two, because it finally made me realize precisely why I moved away from that type of content. A shift I've been aware of for years, but have always failed to articulate the reason. Watching the well-deserved roast of young Bob Gimlin made me realize...
I just wanted to show you, because he's taking this really, classy. Classy Bob. I'm digging it. And giving Trey the freaking spiky collar, too. I should wear my spiky collar in honor of Trey wearing a spiky collar. I got a single row spike one, and I got a wide one that's got a whole bunch of spikes on it.
Is that my style changed because it is so difficult to say any one thing about this subject without having to say a whole lot more. That's the best way to describe it. But I'm going to try my best and talk like it's 2017, when nobody was listening and I had no idea how many people hated me. George Emmons was born in Maryland in 1852. By the age of 30, in 1882, Lieutenant George Emmons found himself a third of the way across the world, where he was stationed on the Pinta in the Alaskan Territory. During his the Nishka branch of the Tsimshian 60. I think I read 1840 at the earliest. This mask is roughly as old as the Gap.
Which are highly stylized Native American mask, right? That's what the correction was about. So, basically, let's see, does it? And we're not going to.
In 1860, 40 years before Emmons acquired it, and to me, this is a carving of a primate, a non-human primate, or at the very least, it's a carving of a human meant to possess those features. I think even skeptics would concede that, as the sunken eyes, minutely hooded nose, brow ridge, protruding muzzle, and thin lips would all suggest. With them, from either South or Central America, or even Asia,
people bring
I guess.
Ideas
and
of people bringing monkeys on ships.
Like monkeys. So maybe that's all this is. As I mentioned earlier, Trey the Explainer absolutely scorched my earth in a video of his from a while back. And I appreciate his respect, both to me as well as to the subject matter in which I was stumbling over. And he was generous enough to acknowledge that the video of mine...
Bigfoot droppings are almost identical to bear scat. The only difference is the taste. Ew. I grew up hunting the Ohio grassman. Never once saw, heard, or found Bigfoot spores. Spent thousands of days fishing Salt Fork. Still nothing. So Bigfoot must be an omnivore, or there would be a marked difference.
Which he was eviscerating was old, and I was new. But since he mentioned my video, I guess I'll mention the video that mentions me.
Notably by famous YouTuber Bob Gimlin.
His opinion is not even that this is a monkey mask. He thinks...
He called you famous, though.
The most likely explanation is that the mask is simply a caricature of a human that just so happens to look like an ape. Because
I tend to agree with that. It kind of looks like something like a cartoonish kind of depiction of a person, of a mischievous person who's smiling and being mischievous, right? Like that? Hello, Tommy.
As he says, it's a short leap for us to look. This is very, very monkey, or simian. And regarding Trey's other two examples, the naive, or those with Bigfoot on the brain, may surmise that these are ape-like. Yeah, but to me, the Tsimshian mask is decidedly ape-like. You know, with no context whatsoever, most would conclude that this is a monkey, or an ape of some kind. And I don't think that conclusion would be drawn.
I think it could be a stylized person, too, though.
For the other examples. This is a Japanese Kyogen mask, or theater mask. It's of a monkey. And it's similar to the Tsimshian mask, and they're actually from roughly the same time. They both have deep eyes and thin lips, and the upturned nose. Obviously, they're of a different style with different levels of detail. The Tsimshian artifact looks a tad more humanoid with the dentition display and the upturned, but still hooded nose, perhaps suggesting bipedalism, which is curious. But regardless, with no context, I think most people would...
I could see that there could be an argument made that this is a platyrrhine and this is a catarrhine monkey. Yeah, I could see that. I could see this being a South American monkey based on its nostril positions, but it could also be a stylized...
Find both of these masks as simian, or perhaps I should say as a non-human primate. I wouldn't say the same for the others. So I'll respectfully disagree with Trey's assertion and comparisons. To me, this is a monkey, or a primate of some kind. So then it's just a carving of a monkey, either seen from an illustration, perhaps a carnival advertisement, or from some monk-napping sailor. As Trey points out, from the history book Soft.
That's so true, though, that there were so many people that they would get monkeys and parrots. I mean, you see pirate movies, right?
Gold.
By the time this mask, with its monkey or ape-like features, was carved, probably at the turn of the century, many Tsimshian had seen monkeys, and most were probably familiar with them through pictures and descriptions.
Monkeys are interesting and novel. Europeans were interested in them. Why wouldn't the First Nation be interested in them? So it's either a monkey or a weird-looking person. Case closed. Except for one thing, I guess. Retired and its culture and customs. He had some...
Say what today is called a monkey. So it's like retroactively referred to as a monkey. That's very different than them saying, no, it is a monkey.
20 publications, as well as 3 posthumous books about the Northwest cultures. If it quacks like a duck. In a time before the term Sasquatch was used, a mythical being found in the woods called today a monkey. That's pretty good for 1901. I couldn't have said it better myself. So could it be a playfully deformed person? Yeah. Could it be a carving of a monkey? Yeah. But in my inexpert opinion, it's most likely a mythical being mask, representing a mythical being found in the woods called today a monkey. Trey even states this in the way beginning of his video, and then entirely dismisses it. And I do that too. Get the inconvenient part out in the open right away.
The museum's only accompanying description of the mask, provided by Lieutenant Emmons himself, rather cryptically describes it as a mythical being mask, representing a mythical being found in the woods called today a monkey.
It doesn't sound too cryptic to me. And here's one thing that my particular brand of crazy couldn't help but pick up on regarding Emmons' phraseology, and you'll find this so much in this subject. A mythical being found in the woods. That's quite the contradiction.
No,
Two
there's
opposing
lots of mythical beings that were found in the woods. Satyrs, fauns, most fairies and gnomes, forest gnomes, goblins, forest goblins at least. There's a myriad of bizarre creatures of myth that dwell in the sylvan environment.
Statements, right beside each other. It's mythical, but it's found. And in my opinion, that is a direct result of the prowess of the subject matter. It does not beleaguer the imagination to presume that something with ape-like strength, and human-like, or even human-exceeding intellect, would appear as mythical in every conceivable way. As I mentioned earlier, videos like this have gotten so difficult and so tedious for me because you have to say so much to say anything at all. But I had a video about the Tlingit Bigfoot, Kushtaka, and that's the video that Trey attacked. Now, the Kushtaka is very, very different from what we call Bigfoot. The term directly translates to land otter man. They are supernatural or folkloric creatures.
Mean to be naughty, children are often referred to as being bickus. Then after learning English in the outside world, they began to apply this term monkey to interpret bickus.
Terrible jokes aside, it seems that other masks of this nature, other naughty masks, have been documented from other tribes, if I'm interpreting this correspondence correctly. The Nishka word, bickus, as well as the associated Tsimshian word, bawas, represent evil spirits that live in the wild. Bickus and bawas are entities associated with drowning, starving, and going missing. So it is indeed curious that these words with profoundly sinister undertones are also used in reference to children. And then, of course, later, to monkeys. Very, very curious to think of what spirit, entity, or creature could encapsulate childlike behavior, disappearing in the wild, and monkeys, all in one. Very curious. to knock down. Just like with losing mid-question is the nature of your disappearance. I don't like response videos. I think they're cheap. And they can get nasty fast. And they're so easy. It's so easy to line by line attack an argument that obviously is static, so it can't defend itself.
Yeah.
You know? It's like going to a debate, only you've already heard your opponent's argument, and they can't change it. It's easy to be a deconstructionist. That's why it takes many moons to build what takes moments to knock down. Just like with losing weight, right? A week of discipline and effort can so easily be undone in about 2 minutes. But with Trey, I don't know. I genuinely respect him as a creator, so I thought, what the hey? About 7 years ago, I was finishing up a video. I was days away from uploading it, when in my feed appeared this video by Trey. And we made the same video. I think mine was 3 minutes longer, but we used the same sources in the same order. And I knew that in 5 days, when mine was finished and I uploaded it, everyone would have been like, how dare you steal Trey's video? Had our videos been different, it would have been fine, but we independently made remarkably similar videos.
I mean, I made a video on the Deloitte ape, too. I think that's pretty common for anybody that covers cryptozoology to make. I mean, maybe not doing it back-to-back with Trey, but you might have been able to piggyback off some of the numbers he was pulling on that, though. So I'm pretty sure he talks deeply into the racial issues surrounding the Deloitte ape, which we should probably talk about at some point.
And I often think, what if it had gone the other way? If days before uploading his video, he saw mine. So, ever since then, some 7 years ago, Trey has been on my radar for his potential force sensitivity, or possible MyR status. Another quick note. I always thought this word was pronounced Simshian, but Trey said Simshian, and frankly I trust his way more because he has more subscribers than me, which means he's a better person. I lost like 400 subscribers in the few days after uploading my last video. It's not a big deal, just a drop in the bucket, but if there's one thing I've learned from the internet, it's that if it POs a few, it PO'd many. I know some left because they think I made a political joke, which I did not, but I think most left because
of you made a political statement by being on Joe Rogan, though, Bob. Fuck Joe Rogan.
Clickbait. They thought it was dishonest. Well, it was my 10 years on YouTube special, and I thought for one time in 10 years, I'd finally make a stereotypical YouTube video. But please note that in the future, if I'm ever being attacked by an Asuri brown bear, I simply will not have the time to put no less than 8 asterisks in the title of the video about it happening to me. There just won't be time for that. Anyway, guys, I know my video...
So that's the current state. Now, will Trey respond? I don't know. I don't know if Trey will respond or not, but he might. But it's nice to see that you know, Bob took it in stride and was that was a beautiful puppy. Yeah, and you know, this video is also again another well put together one. I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole thing because we have other stuff to get to, but we will bring you more updates as they unfold of the Bob Gimlin versus Trey the Explainer video essay showdown. All right, up next we have y'all gonna love this. You'll know him, you'll love him, Mr. Michael.
Scientists are trying to use DMT to allow people to communicate with the seemingly alien creatures that they see when they do the drugs. I'm not making this up. I wish I were making this up. This is from Wired. Some people see aliens while on DMT. If you've ever had a friend, not just who's done DMT, but I've even heard this about shrooms, or you might have heard it about acid, the hallucinogenic drugs, psychedelic.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Like drugs. People see these creatures that eerily all sound pretty similar. They're like little gray weirdo aliens. That's how they describe them.
Machine elves.
Some people see aliens while on DMT. Researchers want to find out what they can teach us. Okay. I agree with the first sentence. I think the second sentence would not follow from the first sentence. It's probably not a good idea. A new psychedelic retreat calling itself a SETI for the mind aims to establish two-way communication with
did I blow him right up in your face? Michael Knowles just like, BAM! There he is.
Non-human entities people encounter while tripping on DMT. What could go wrong? Just read you a little bit from the article, a very lengthy article. The idea had been suggested 6 years earlier in a paper by neurobiologist Andrew Gallimore. So it's not just some weirdo entrepreneurs. It's not just some journalists. It's a neurobiologist. And then the ethnobotanist, boy howdy, there are just so many specializations in science today, aren't there? The ethnobotanist, Terence McKenna. What do you want to be when you grow up, Sally? I want to be an ethnobotanist, whatever that is. Okay. One of the more gifted articulators of the psychedelic experience.
If you knew anything about cultivars, you'd understand why an ethnobotanist is important, but you don't because you're a moron who doesn't do any kind of research and just goes on feelings. That's your problem, Michael.
Famously described these entities as, quote, self-transforming elf machines. This is what people are seeing when they do the drug. Self-transforming elf machines and jeweled, self-dribbling basketballs from hyperspace. McKenna likened them to playful leprechauns. But others, like Bilton, have also met more sinister beings. Dark, evil mother effers. Horrible things. Okay. Tell me more. I've never done psychedelics. The thread connecting most perceived DMT entity encounters is an overwhelming sense of technological sophistication and godlike power.
You mean the human brain, when exposed to the same chemical substance, reacts in humans the same way? From one human to the other? And they have similar types of experiences? You don't say. You don't say. Does not surprise me, Michael. Why are you acting like this is, ooh, that proves it about something? Nonsense.
Quote, I was confronted with what seemed to me to be the undeniable hand of some kind of intelligence, Gallimore said of his first DMT trip during his recent appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast. A supremely advanced, ancient, and yet highly technological intelligence. Is this sounding familiar to anyone? If you've done psychedelics, it might be sounding familiar to you because you've experienced it. If you are familiar with religion, Christianity in particular, this might be sounding familiar, and it might not be sounding good. Gallimore argues that whatever is happening to the brain during the DMT trip, it is not mere hallucination, a term he uses somewhat derisively. He makes the case that DMT unlocks a realm ordinarily cut off to our senses and populated by unfathomed...
Right, and like we did with the Obama thing just a minute ago, okay? If you have to properly frame these concepts, right? Hallucinations kind of implies that it's not real. The world that we experience all the time is a hallucination. This is not like how the real world exists. This is how our brain creates the world so that we can interact with it, right? It builds this for us. Does no way infer that this is the way that it exists in its natural state. This is what we experience because our brain creates things. Now, if you drip a little psychedelic substance onto your brain, you're going to get those reactions where your brain starts experiencing or starts having trouble creating the world that you're used to, right? Because the reaction to the hallucinogens, your brain is all of a sudden having trouble creating the world that you're used to seeing, and starts to make mistakes, starts to screw up. Now, I have conditions that cause me to, sometimes I have visual and audio hallucinations. And sometimes I can tell if something's not real or not. But sometimes I can't. Because of the chemicals in my brain. But I understand that, and I don't pretend that the things I'm seeing are demons or ghosts or whatever. I don't tell I know what's happening.
Fathomably advanced non-human entities. So right off the bat, there are two options. And probably you're thinking this too. These things can be one of two things. They can either be, to use the language of the scholastics, ens reale or ens rationis. They can be mind-independent beings, that is, things that have a reality in themselves outside of your own conceptions, or they can be figments of your imagination, things that we just come up with in our head, that we can talk about as if they were real things, but they don't have an existence outside of your own mind.
Right.
Now, The whole premise here is we need to
entities.
communicate with these things.
DMT entities would fall into the latter category. They don't exist outside of that outside of your mind. That does not mean that they're not real, but that doesn't mean that they are real. They're real, but they're not real. If you understand what I'm saying, like you're really having that experience with them, but the experience you're having is not real. That sounds I'm trying to find a better way to say it. Like that's actually an experience, something you experienced. It doesn't have to actually have happened in the physical world or even anywhere outside your mind for you to have had that experience, that interaction. Let's see we got some chats here. If the real world is the way we expect them, how come we can tell the neighbor painted a fence a different color even though we didn't see him do it? So I guess it's the same thing like I was saying about if you know, two individuals of the same species take the DMT at the same time, their brain will cause them to have the same experiences and see similar things in the same way that our brains build a world very similar. You get the blueprints on how to build the world around you from your genetics. So. Not everybody does see the world the same. Just visually speaking, there's people that are colorblind. There's people that have, extra cones in their eyes. So you don't necessarily see the same red that your neighbor sees, but we know that whatever exists in the real world that we call red can be collectively identified as red. It doesn't mean that we're all experiencing red the same way, but we can all agree on what red is in our experience. And it can match up with one another. That no way implies that they're the same, they're visually the same to both individuals. I saw complex geometric patterns appear out of nowhere for less than a second, but otherwise only have seen distortions of what was really there. Yeah, mostly my experiences with hallucinogens have just been an altered state of the reality I live in. I've never had an experience with any entities or anything like that. It's mostly just things are a little bit colorful and a little bit bent or just seem like sort of whimsical or sometimes menacing or dark and spooky. I have a lot of colorblind family members. Yeah, so colorblindness is definitely one of those things. I've heard it said that they exist but don't have existence. Yeah, that's a way to put it.
That very phrase tells us that if these things matter at all, if we're going to do any of this stuff, have the Weirds science summer camp DMT trip, then they can't just be figments of our own imagination. Because you can't communicate with something that is not in itself a cognitive power. You would just be talking to yourself, but then you don't need the DMT trip to talk to yourself. You can have a conversation in your own head. The only way to communicate is for
but to believe that the other or the other individual you're having a conversation with exists as a real entity. You do need the DMT trip, or otherwise you're just talking in your head. But if the voice in your head suddenly manifests as a freaking green leprechaun sitting on your desk, well, now it's a green leprechaun that's saying the things that the voice in your head says. So does it exist independently? No, but you may experience it that way because the DMT has altered the way that you experience the world around you.
Is to involve two cognitive powers. I can't communicate with the tumbler. I can't communicate with my paper here. I can communicate to you because you have a cognitive power. So,
do you know what a tulpa is, Michael? Tulpas are a pretty cool concept. It's a thing that doesn't exist. It's a thought form that you bring into existence, that you convince your brain exists in your surroundings, and you're supposed to actually, if you are really good at it, you're supposed to actually be able to manifest it and visually see it and like interact with it and stuff. And of course, in some cases, they say other people can see it or interact with it as well. So, it depends on how deep you want to dive into it. I don't know that I believe cases where other people interact with them, but I definitely believe that people can make tulpas, thought forms in their heads that exist independently, and give them I don't want to say grant them sentience, but almost almost give them a personality of their own.
Right off the bat, we are assuming that these things are real, but they're not physical. They're not visible ordinarily. They're purely intelligence. They are pure intelligence with which we might communicate.
Hello, Majestic.
But only if we do things that are bad and sinful, like lose our minds on drugs. That is a demon. That's a long way of saying that's a demon.
What's wrong with drugs? Even mind-altering drugs have medicinal value and use in society. Some people can use things like LSD or DMT or even just simply marijuana to help to deal with several mental conditions or physical conditions that they struggle with. There are applications which are completely viable for these, and for you to just dismiss them because for some reason you think that people in the Middle East that wrote the Bible 4,000 years ago knew about plants that exist in the far reaches of the equator on far off continents. They didn't know about those. So no, the Bible does not say you can't use peyote or ayahuasca or magic mushrooms.
Invisible cognitive powers, non-physical cognitive powers are spirits. That's what a spirit means. Spirits can be angels. They can be demons. There are other kinds of spiritual realities. The one
Majestic, I have encountered entities while stoned. Lots of them, but mostly they were people. Mostly.
Ones that we invite in to communicate when we are doing bad things, when we are sinning, they're not the good ones. They're the bad ones. They're demons. I am not a guy. I've said this many times. I'm not a
Samantha says that sounds like the 7th commandment. Thou shalt not trip bulls.
guy who sees demons under every rock. I know that's very popular now. I've had conversations with exorcists and I have knowledge spiritual.
Dude. You have a lot of like woo-woo stuff on. We're gonna cut like this news show, this 14 News. I could have a Michael Knowles segment on every week talking about your crazy ass. Psilocybin has been found to generate its own neural pathways. That's really cool, Samantha. I don't like your commandments. You're vibrating on a whole other frequency, Samantha says. Vibrate, you gotta vibe, man. Yeah. Gotta vibe. Yeah. If we do the spirit dancing on Saturday, y'all are gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna win. It's like way ahead on the poll. If we do the spirit dancing, what I was just doing there reminded me of it because they got these cool ass dance moves. And I'm gonna you're all gonna see me get up and try to do some spirit dancing with my umbrella. Ella.
Reality, but I take C.S. Lewis's approach, which is you don't want to think about demons none of the time, because then you could be leaving yourself open to danger. But you don't want to think about demons all of the time, because then you're obsessing on spiritual darkness and the privation of good, and you really should just be focused on God. So you should think about demons like a little bit of the time. This is one of those times.
Or just like never. You can like not worry about demons while you're enjoying some. While you're imbibing in some substance use, you don't have to think about demons at all, ever. I tripped for a week straight and did nothing but laugh my ass off and watch shit melt. Yeah, I know. Every time I've ever done any kind of hallucinogen, it's been a pleasant experience, except for one time, and it didn't have anything to do with the stuff I was taking. It was the situation I was in. So.
Do not go do a bunch of drugs with a bunch of hippie scientists and talk to demons. That's a bad idea. What is it that you desire that would impel you to go?
I want to do what I want with hippie scientists, and you can't stop me.
Do this. There are plenty of people who take psychedelics and want to talk to the aliens, which are demons. Either they're hallucinations, in which case the whole thing's pointless, or they're demons.
Or they're aliens.
What would impel you? Because you want to learn something about yourself or about the world. Okay, if you want to learn something, if you want to learn like the truth, right? You want to learn the truth of something, not the falsehood of something. Probably, if you want to learn the truth, you should speak to God, who is the truth, the way.
I don't believe in that, though. Like, other people have different beliefs than you, Michael Knowles, and other ways for which they would like to communicate. I think a lot of people who do the DMT thing and the hallucination thing, it's introspective, right? They're looking inside themselves too. The entities that they're encountering are giving them insight or kind of introspection. Deviant is here. Hey, Debbie. Let me amend the commandment. Thou shalt not trip balls with Michael. Yeah. He will ruin it. You're going to have a bad trip hanging out with Michael. Like I said, the environment matters substantially. And you don't want Michael Knowles in there while you're tripping balls. He starts talking about demons and hellfire and shit. He's going to totally kill the whole vibe. You want to be talking about like gnomes and fairies and shit like that. You have some fun. The couch ate my friend one night on acid. Yeah, that's a bad trip.
Truth in the life, Christ says. You would want to speak to the true source and summit of all being, rather than demons whose defining characteristic is that they're evil and they lie. You don't. Why else would?
What was the couch's name? I know the chair was named Cherry. Aunt Jer. Aunt Jer says, was it Pee Wee Herman's couch?
You want to do it? Well, because I'll tell you why. To be fair to the druggies, the reason they want this is they recognize that we are in part spiritual creatures. They recognize that we don't comprehend all of the truth. They want some knowledge. But the reason why...
Yeah, we recognize that we only experience the world in what our senses that we have available allow, and it exists on so much more. It's so much more than that. So, yeah, science.
You want all of that. The reason why you would go do the drugs with the scientist instead of just like go to church or read your Bible or pray or avail yourself of the sacraments, the distinctive feature between those two things, either of those things promise you the truth and recognition of spiritual.
And they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Spiritual reality. The reason you would choose the drugs over the church is because you want the truth on your terms rather than on God's terms. Because you want to increase your personal agency, because you want to become like a God yourself rather than submit your will.
It's because other people have different beliefs than you, Michael, and some people have different ideas on how to introspect and how to learn about themselves and to live their life more peacefully.
Will and your reason to God, who is both omnipotent and omniscient.
Got a candle burning on his
That's
desk.
why. It's just a reiteration of the original sin in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve...
DMT was the Garden of Eden.
Had everything, and they were walking with God, and it was awesome. But they wanted paradise on their own terms. And when you try to make paradise on your own terms, it turns into hell. Okay.
Actually,
have I made...
I don't want to get into the creation story, but damn. Yeah, so... Michael Knowles is scared of demons. Sees demons everywhere. He's like Tucker Carlson. Remember a few months back, Tucker Carlson was like, oh my gosh, demons attacked me in the night, and I woke up with scratches all over me. And it had to be a demon because no one even noticed it but me, and I sleep in a bed with 4 big dogs. It's like, oh, wait a second. You woke up with scratches, and you sleep in a bed with 4 dogs. What's more likely to happen? The dog scratched you? Or that demons crept into your house and clawed you up? Which is more likely? Alright, so finally, let's get to our top story for the night. It's this. I don't know if you all heard about it, but Capturing Bigfoot is a documentary. 2026 just came out. It's got a 6.2 rating on IMDb. And yeah, it is about the Patterson-Gimlin footage. Here's Bob Aronimus, the guy who said he was in the suit, right? Here's Bob Gimlin, Clint Patterson, Jeff Meldrum's in it. So a lot of big people in it. But the content of this documentary may be shocking because it includes an additional 6 minutes of Patty test footage. Now we all know Patty. Oh yay, Nikki's here. Nikki, was this your friend that you talked to the other night? I think it was him, right? When you were live streaming. Let me know if I got the right guy. I think this was the guy. But Nikki actually had a panel where they watched someone react. I think it was him. I think it was Harry Man Road. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, okay. So, and he was actually at the premiere, and he saw the additional footage. And I'm gonna let him describe it here, but you all should go over and give Harry Man Road some love and tell them the Hive sent you. And Nikki, your channel used to be Harry Man something too, didn't it? Wasn't it like Harry Man Hoodwinks and Hoaxes? Something like that. Something cute like that. Anyway, Eric. Yeah, this is Eric. All right, I think about 18 minutes is where he gets to the part that the new footage. All right.
On one of these Fox News networks or whatever passed it. Right after that, they show a clip of Meldrum, the late Meldrum, saying, "Oh, well, those aren't admissible in court," kind of just downplaying that whole thing, which is, it is what it is. But for me, the most damning part was the new footage, the new 16 millimeter footage that was brought to the university where the director...
There is new footage from the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and we all know the Patterson-Gimlin footage. I don't have the new footage here. He's going to describe it to us, and he was watching the documentary, so he saw it. We will eventually get footage up, and I will circle back to this when we have actual footage. I may actually see if I can get Nikki to come on and do it with me, if that would be something she'd be into, because yeah, she was talking to him live while he was processing it when he just came out of the theater.
Worked, and it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. I think when people are going to see this, there is absolutely no question that is the same suit that was filmed in the Patterson footage. 100%. It has... It's dark like the Patterson footage. It has breasts like the Patterson footage. You could even see the head is the same shape. Everything is the same. While I'm watching it, I'm kind of stunned because it's Patty, but it's Patty like we've never seen before. It's a different location. It was shocking. It was, I had my mouth open the entire time I'm watching it. It is in a different location, like I said, but it's the same suit. It's 100%
it's like a test run was the footage, like years before. I think and they confirmed it because there's on the film, like these old-timey film, there's little markers that they put on those that are dated, and this is from before the actual Patty-Gimlin footage.
Same suit, and even I can't remember who it was. Someone looked at it and saw the same lines, and they show the footage in real time to all the major players. They show it to Jeff Meldrum. Jeff Meldrum, when he sees it, he almost gets teary-eyed. He's like kind of freaking out. He's basically saying, "Well, that looks like a dry run for the Patterson footage." That's what he says. They show it to Bob Hieronymus, and Bob Hieronymus is basically just like, yeah, that's it. That ain't me in the suit, though.
Yeah, it was somebody different.
He admits that. He's like, that ain't me that time. They show it to Clint Patterson.
It was someone different in the suit during this test walk than Bob Hieronymus, who was in the suit in the actual footage. But I imagine it was probably a smaller person because the suit kind of fit him different.
Clip Patterson's response is probably the funniest thing ever. He just, his response to seeing it in real time is just it's like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, it was great. It was hilarious. They show it to Greg. They show it to him. And he gets a little
majestic
teary-eyed and stuff. And he gets really excited, basically saying, oh, yeah, I kind of knew it or whatever.
There's a lot of people that were vindicated by this footage.
They also show it to Patricia Patterson. And I know I said that there was some estrangement going on there. Towards the end of the documentary, it does seem like there is some peace being made there. And it was...
Yeah, so like, thank you, Lil. So she was like, she knew it was fake, but it was her nest egg. It was how she was surviving. It was what she was living off of, is the royalties from, because they show that on, History Channel, on the Travel Channel, all these channels that show the different Bigfoot documentaries and stuff. My intro used to include like 3 seconds of the Patterson-Gimlin footage for CrypticCorner, and the cornerstone of my diving into wanting to explore Sasquatch and aliens and ghosts and all this stuff, the Patterson-Gimlin footage was huge. Was a huge influence on me. It was the one that's real. This one's real. You can, nobody can debunk this. It's so real. It's so real. And then it's like, you find out about this and you kind of learn by the details. It was a lot of the stuff that you can say, the muscle texture and stuff like that. It's all happy accidents on from the way the material fit itself on and how tight it was on Bob's body, on Bob Hieronymus's body.
I believe it was through Patterson's sister that kind of connected those two back. And it was really heartwarming to see that take place. She basically calls Patterson's sister basically calls Clip Patterson saying, hey,
so
your mom wants to see you. And he's basically like, get the F out of here, really? And he's just so excited. He's elated. I think he even like starts getting teary-eyed and starts,
Yeah, so they mended some familial wounds there over this stuff, because he knew, he wanted to go out with it, and somebody else came out with it, so he didn't have to, and now he doesn't have to fight with his mom, and it's out anyway. But again, this is, it's Eric's channel, Hairy Man Road. Lots of Bigfoot content here. If you're into Bigfoot like I am, come out here and check it out. And you can watch that full video. It's the newest video from 3 days ago. I did want to give it a few days before I covered it myself, because I didn't want to be like stepping on his toes. But definitely give him some love. All right. So, my friends, we have come to the end of our daily news cycle. I hope you found this little trip down the 14 pathway fun and entertaining at the very least. If you have any commentary or questions, drop them in the comments down below, and I'll try to get a response to you about any of this stuff. But I'm going to try to do this again next week. We'll see if I can keep the 14 news coming. But I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me. And, yeah, until next time, remember to be kind and take care.